May 12th, 2023. The Denver Nuggets #1 seed and the brilliant two-time MVP Nikola Jokic has eliminated Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and the Phoenix Suns. Just 3 months ago, when the trade went down for superstar KD, Phoenix had championship aspirations. They saw the team chemistry slipping away with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, key role players who's been relatively healthy overall, but after CP3 getting hurt with an untimely injury, couldn't play games 3, 4, 5, and 6, and DeAndre Ayton having some weak ribs as a 7-footer, a #1 pick. Are you just kidding me right now? The Phoenix Suns, absolutely no show. They shit the bed today. Kevin Durant plays super passive. He played super soft. And kudos to the Denver Nuggets for taking care of business and getting to the Western Conference Finals. Well, they will have a chance to get to the first NBA Finals in the first time in franchise history. But the Phoenix Suns, absolute travesty today. What an absolute disgrace by Kevin Durant, who was passively soft. DeAndre Ayton, you soft. #1 pick, you got hurt? Are you kidding me? You were soft all series. Where the hell was the effort? Nikola Jokic destroyed this whole team. And I knew when DeAndre Ayton wasn't going to play, I knew that Jokic was going to have a fest and dominate like Will Chamberlain on the boards. He destroyed everybody in the first quarter. It was like a man playing amongst boys. Nikola Jokic was literally a senior on varsity playing against 5-foot freshmen out there, and nobody in Phoenix had any answers. And DeAndre Ayton, you quit on this fucking team? DeAndre Ayton, you got your fucking money. What more can you ask for? You quit? Are you kidding me? #1 pick, Mr. Softy Soft. DeAndre Ayton might be as soft as Ben Simmons now. Are you kidding me, DeAndre Ayton? The lack of effort, the lack of aggression. How are you 7 feet tall and you make all this money? His contract was just ginormous. And he's just chilling right now, not even caring about basketball. I mean, he won the genetic lottery. So athletic for what? My God. This was pathetic by DeAndre Ayton quitting on that team. The poor body language. Not having it with CP3 and Devin Booker. CP3 made DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton was viewed as a bust before CP3 made him look good in 2021. And this is what DA does. This is how he repays the Phoenix Suns after last season. Shit didn't go his way. He cries like a baby. And now he's on the bench in street clothes about to fly to Cancun right now, probably no longer in the arena. This was pathetic by DeAndre Ayton. He should absolutely be ashamed. Phoenix made a mistake for getting rid of Mikal Bridges for Kevin Durant. They should have traded DeAndre Ayton away. And guess what? They didn't. DeAndre Ayton, DA is fucking soft. He is so soft. He's softer than Rudy Gobert. He's almost as soft as Ben Simmons. It's pathetic how DeAndre Ayton quit on the Suns, and Jokic ate him for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Jokic averaged 35 points for the series. He shot around 60% from the field, and Ayton did nothing about it. The lack of hustle you saw in Game 1 when Ayton was just chilling out there. He looked even worse than DeAndre Jordan right now. Like DeAndre Jordan starting for the Suns would have had a better impact than DeAndre Ayton, but Jordan barely even played. Did he even play the series? My God, DeAndre Ayton was pathetic. He gets the #1 blame for this absolute pathetic meltdown. For how he treats this team, being a fucking #1 pick, DeAndre Ayton's playing like a bust. He'll never make an all-star team. My God, he doesn't have any heart. He plays fucking soft. DA is soft. The Phoenix Suns can't stand him. It was absolutely disgusting. Pathetic. Worse than Pandemic P. But you know why? Pandemic P actually gave effort. DeAndre Ayton, 0 fucking effort. 0. DeAndre Ayton, a big fat 0 today. He's absolutely terrible. The Phoenix Suns should be embarrassed to draft a guy like him over Luka Doncic as a #1 pick. Are you kidding me? #1 pick? They had a chance to get Luka Doncic. They probably would have won a title right now if they had Luka and Booker playing together. But they drafted DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre ass. Jesus Christ. And Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant does not get off the hook too. He was absolutely passive today. Unhappy with the Brooklyn Nets. Couldn't get his shit together. And he's not a leader. Kevin Durant is just straight up not a leader. All-time great player. Top 15 player all time. But the biggest knock on his legacy, he can never carry a team and be the guy to get his group going because there was no fire inside Kevin Durant tonight. He didn't act like it was a must-win game. He didn't regroup his team together. And from what I saw, Devin Booker's been the leader for the Phoenix Suns the last 2 months of the season. And Booker was the more aggressive guy. It's like Kevin Durant just plugged into a team and he's just joining. He's just one of the guys that's following Devin Booker and CP3. And Durant did not take it upon himself. He was trying to look for his rhythm. Like, why the hell is he taking all those tough fadeaway jumpers, missing everything in the first quarter when he's not aggressive? He's not playing like it's a game 7. Kevin Durant was absolutely passive, settling for those tough turnaround jumpers, bad percentage shots, and he barely attempted any three-pointers. I don't know if he even attempted any today. It was so bad. Kevin Durant did not go all out and attack and just lay the ball in and try to draw fouls. Where was the initiative tonight? Where was the sense of urgency from Kevin Durant? There was none. He was absolutely passive. He looked like he didn't want to win it that bad. This is why Kevin Durant, he will never... He won't be remembered as an all-time great like the LeBrons and Steph Currys of the world. He's just not that guy. He's not a leader at all. I mean, does he really make his teammates that much better? He acts like a superstar role player at times, being super passive. Why is that? You know who was a leader tonight? You know who took matters into their own hands and took the game out of reach? It was Nikola Jokic. Jokic was the one getting to the basket in the first quarter, imposing his will, knowing Jock Landale was way too small for him. Jokic just went inside and took his time and just had those little floaters. Nikola Jokic was Will Chamberlain tonight in the first quarter, just dominating against the smaller Suns. The moves on Bismack Biyombo too. Nikola Jokic literally took it right to the soul of the Phoenix Suns defense, and the Suns absolutely had no answer for number 15 tonight. Absolutely none. It was Jokic who played with the sense of urgency that helped his team get up to like a 44-26 lead in the first quarter. So Nikola Jokic, by far the best player in this series, averaging 35 points. He had like 3 triple-doubles in this series. Absolutely incredible. And there's absolutely a case that Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, right now, if he wins a championship, it's absolutely safe and fair to say that he's the best player in the NBA. There's no doubt he's been the best player this postseason right now for how he's just dominating and controlling the game, making everything look so easy and relaxed. It honestly wouldn't even matter if DeAndre Ayton played today, but I know that you have a guy like Jock Landale, who a lot of you never heard of 6 months ago. Like, you don't even know like what college he went to, whatnot. I don't know much about him. And then having like 45-year-old Bismack Biyombo, who's 6'8", against big, strong Jokic. Of course the Suns were going to get destroyed. And at least even if Ayton doesn't try, Ayton with 50% effort, at least he could body up with Jokic for the size matchup. But they had absolutely no answers for Nikola, who just did anything he wanted out there. So Nikola Jokic put this game away, and it was the championship DNA of KCP, who outplayed Kevin Durant. Absolutely outplayed Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in the first half. KCP had 21 points in the game. He wasn't missing. He played like it was the 2020 finals in the bubble. And KCP, if he can have that level of impact for this team going forward, I do believe that the Nuggets will go super far. And I do think that right now, they're a safe bet for you to pick them to win the NBA championship. Their offense is unstoppable. They move the ball well. Michael Porter Jr., he's been on and off, but when he makes his threes, he's unstoppable. And Jamal Murray, he was a little under the weather, it seemed, but he had 26 points today. He was basically doing whatever he wanted out there. He played a decent game, but it was the absolute pathetic Kevin Durant. How many regular seasons did you play with Phoenix? Like 8 games? And how are you going to expect to win a title like that? But the Phoenix Suns were screwed in the first place after CP3 got injured, to be honest. And everyone likes to say, like, oh, CP3, they play better without him. And, well, what happened tonight? tonight they got destroyed. I mean, yeah, CP3 is a lot slower and he's not the same as he was, but you want him to set up like KD and Devin Booker and all those guys. I mean, D Book was absolutely incredible for most of this series. Can't take anything away from him, honestly. But for the Phoenix Suns to barely beat Denver in 3 and 4, when Devin Booker was having his 40-point games and was almost perfect from the field, he was pretty much like 80% from the field shooting the ball. And the Suns barely won those games. Just goes to show that if Booker or KD had an off game, it was absolutely over for the Phoenix Suns. And they just couldn't match up. So it was just pathetic effort all around. Like Kevin Durant, unhappy with the Brooklyn Nets, and now you're unhappy with the Phoenix Suns. How the hell do you go from having a guy who's the biggest joke in the NBA last season and Ben Simmons, who doesn't even want to play for your team? He saw you get swept out there by the Boston Celtics. And now another number one pick, and DeAndre Ayton doesn't want to play for you on the team, and he's on the bench watching you get destroyed by the Denver Nuggets. Like, what the hell is that? Kevin Durant went from one dysfunctional player in Ben Simmons to another dysfunction in DeAndre Ayton. Like Kevin Durant, if he was such a great player to make that impact, his presence would have allowed guys to get all their shit together and play as a team. But Kevin Durant, because he's not a leader, he's just a good player, and that's all he is. A great player, I should say, and one of the best offensive players we've seen, but not a leader, not somebody that elevates his teammates and gets the best out of them. Which is why Kevin Durant, he's nowhere close as a leader, and he might not even be better all time than a guy like Kevin Garnett or Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, KD's a more talented player than those guys, but Kevin Garnett for the Boston Celtics, he made everybody better. He made everybody play their role and sacrifice their numbers and play super unselfish. Paul Pierce and Ray Allen could have averaged like 25 a game, but they sacrificed those numbers. And KG was the one that made Kendrick Perkins relevant, to be honest. If Kendrick Perkins didn't play with Kevin Garnett, no one ever would have heard of Kendrick Perkins, to be honest. But he got the best out of Perk, and now Perk is doing his analyst thing. And right now he's probably apologizing to Nikola Jokic for questioning his greatness. And Kevin Garnett, he was the one that made Boston the best defensive team. He wasn't as talented as a scorer, but he changed the whole dynamic and the culture of that team. Everybody brought in, and they won a championship right away, playing lockdown defense. This is what the great ones bring, like Kevin Garnett. Dirk Nowitzki in 2011. You know what could have happened after losing to San Antonio in 2010? Dirk Nowitzki could have demanded a trade. He could have once tried to go to play with a team like the Boston Celtics or a San Antonio Spurs type team and just join a contender. He could have signed up to maybe play for the Lakers, but Dirk Nowitzki remained in Dallas. He remained with Jason Terry. He had faith in Rick Carlisle and Dallas management and Mark Cuban for a long time after Cuban screwed a lot of things up. And Dirk Nowitzki, he was able to elevate his teammates, and he got the best out of everybody, and he put in the work, and everybody played well and brought in, and that's why they won the improbable 2011 title. And now Kevin Durant with the Suns, Chris Paul fighting with DeAndre Ayton out there, and they're not getting along with Coach Monty Williams. It's been the same fucking shit. It's been the same shit as last season. Kevin Durant, he's just a good player, but the team is not coexistent together. Ayton has his own problems for his own selfish reasons, getting his feelings hurt. Who knows what happened with DA? He never wanted to go back to Phoenix after last season, and he runs from the grind. He got embarrassed by Luka Doncic last year, and this is how he repays the team by complaining about having an injury, watching from the bench, playing absolutely terrible. This is loser mentality right there by DeAndre Ayton. Why would any team want a guy like DA as the number one pick? There was questions about him coming into the 2018 draft, his work ethic and his passion for the game of basketball. But if you ever see those signs, guys, number one pick, but their weaknesses and flaws, do they have passion for the game? You might want to stay away from that. Might want to stay away from guys like DA and Ben Simmons. DeAndre Ayton realistically should have been a two-time All-Star already. And DeAndre Ayton coming into the 2018 draft, if this was 2018 right now, and you say, would you rather have DeAndre Ayton to build around or Nikola Jokic? 90% of people would have said DeAndre Ayton, because Ayton was a specimen. He had the size and athleticism of like a David Robinson, but in the NBA, he just didn't really care. He just didn't care. And Kevin Durant, for him for joining team to team and just keep getting injured, and straight up, like the Phoenix Suns got a ton of problems with their injuries. CP3 is 38 years old and he's got 2 years left on his contract and he's getting paid $40 million next year. So if you have CP3 and DeAndre Ayton combined making $70 million for next season when they can't even stay healthy for the playoffs, this is a disaster for the Suns going forward. And Kevin Durant, do you trust Kevin Durant going forward for the next couple of years? He has not gotten out of the second round since leaving Golden State. And it's been 4 years now. 4 years. No conference finals appearance without Steph Curry. This looks terrible on Kevin Durant's legacy. And those 2 rings that won by Golden State with KD winning the finals MVP and Steph proving that he can win it without him, even after Kevin Durant left. I mean, Kevin Durant, he's not going to be as remembered as the other all-time greats like Steph. And he's never going to come close to being in the discussion with LeBron because LeBron is able to elevate his teammates and figure out ways to win and always be competing and always be one of the last man standing. Kevin Durant, no leadership qualities, just a good scorer, doesn't make his teammates better, just trying to fit in, always unhappy. Why is he always unhappy for? He was unhappy with the Brooklyn Nets, and now he demanded a trade going to the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns gave up MacLeod Healthy Bridges, who's played every single game of his career, and he's balling for the Nets. And they gave up Cam Johnson, too, and 4 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, honestly, with the Phoenix Suns, I don't trust them in the regular season for next season, too, because if Devin Booker's going to miss 20-plus games, you know that Kevin Durant is going to miss a bunch of games. And it always sucks to see players get injured. But over the last 3 years, Kevin Durant has missed like 1/3 of the season. He's played less than half his game for 2021. He's fragile. His lower body is fragile. He's gonna have some ankle injuries or a foot problem or slip and whatnot, or somebody's gonna bang onto his knee. And it just seems those injuries seems like freak accidents, but at the same time, Durant's lower body's absolutely fragile. He's had like foot problems over the course of his career. And to miss a couple weeks like that, like a mild sprain or a knee sprain, MCL, whatnot, Kevin Durant's just going to keep getting injured like this. And I don't want him to get injured. I don't wish anyone to get injured. But each of the last 3 years, Durant's missed a bunch of weeks due to injuries in the regular season. And when the team doesn't have a 30-point scorer like him, it's going to be really tough, putting a lot of pressure on guys like Devin Booker. And Booker's going to have to score 35 every night. And the way of Kevin Durant's style of play, he fits well with every team and every player, but it's too much ISO ball, man. Your turn, my turn, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, same shit as Kevin Durant, Kyrie, who got destroyed by Boston last season. And now, like, you see Booker and Durant, if both of them scored 35 plus, like what happened in game 3 and 4, when both of them balled out, they won those close games. But how many times can you actually depend on those two to ball out like that? They're not going to go like that every single game. I mean, they're going to have some bad games too. And when they do have their bad games, this is the result tonight. Got absolutely destroyed. Devin Booker, 12 points, got outscored by KCP and Jamal Murray. And they got smoked. If Devin Booker didn't have those masterful games in 3 and 4, the Suns could have gotten swept. Imagine KD would have gotten swept 2 years in a row. And Kevin Durant, it just goes to show that he is just not a leader. He doesn't elevate his teammates. He just gets his buckets. I mean, yeah, Kevin Durant, you look at the box score, he still ended up with his, 21 points tonight or whatnot, but they were empty calories. They were absolutely empty calories. 23 points he had. He had 23, 5 and 5, a minus 13, but he played actually way worse than that. And after overcoming the Achilles injury, he's going to be 35 years old next season. So KD, he's no longer on the young side. He's still going to put up a lot of buckets because the way how he's able to score, he's never going to lose his knack of scoring. He can at least be a spot-up shooter and just keep getting buckets even at the end of his career if he loses the quickness. But Kevin Durant has not been the guy that he is 2 years ago when he was absolutely carrying the Nets against the Bucks when all his teammates got hurt. It's just too bad karma for Kevin Durant, man. Unhappy everywhere he went, everywhere he goes, from leaving Golden State. Golden State's literally the best situation he could have been. He could have settled there, but wanted to get out of Steph Curry's shadows. But Kevin Durant probably would have won 1 or 2 more Finals MVP, and Golden State and Curry probably have 6 rings by now if Durant was still there. To be honest, that just wasn't fair for the NBA. But now Kevin Durant's paying the price. Can't win like this. He's on teams to lose in the second round. Not a leader. He has shown to be a non-factor in terms of the leadership standpoint. And a player, how great they are to elevate their teams. There's a lot of guys that are not as good as Kevin Durant individually, but they're way better leaders. Look at the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler. Since Kevin Durant left Golden State, Jimmy Butler, 1 win away from a conference finals if he beats New York tomorrow night. And he already made 2 conference finals and led his team to 1 NBA finals without another proven star. Yeah, Bam Adebayo, you could say he's a star, but he's not that great. I don't even think he's top 30. And Jimmy Butler's able to carry that team to a championship. And with his guys banged up, he was able to win 2 games against a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis. Jimmy Butler's not as talented as Kevin Durant, but Jimmy Butler has more of a killer instinct. He's a way better leader. And Kevin Durant, just not a leader, man. He's not a top 5 player in the game. He's just not. He's never been a great leader. I mean, Russell Westbrook was the alpha dog. Russell Westbrook, he's nowhere near as a player, and you want KD to take more shots than Russ if they're on the same team. But Russell Westbrook showed a lot of aggression when they played, but he's just not as good. And Kevin Durant, he just let the game slip away from him, just being a non-factor in an elimination game like this. And for all you people that say Kevin Durant's the best pure scorer in the NBA all time, get the fuck out of here with that statement. Because you know why? Kevin Durant wasn't even the second leading scorer in this series. It was Booker, Jokic, those 2, and then Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant wasn't even one of the 2 best players in this series. Kevin Durant got schooled by Jason Tatum last season. And Michael Jordan would have never allowed anyone to outscore him in a playoff series, no matter what era, because MJ was just that dominant. He was always going to be there. And Kevin Durant, no. Kevin Durant's just he's not that guy to elevate his teammate. I mean, you need good vets with Kevin Durant. You know why the 2021 Nets was still super successful? Even though their players were injured, Jeff Green was the leader of that team. He was one of the main underrated leaders. I mean, Jeff Green was killing it in Game 5. And when Joe Harris and all them were sucking, and Landry Shamet, please get rid of him, Phoenix. He had a great game. He had a great Game 4, I believe. But Landry Shamet, the king of second-round exits, from the bubble, Clippers losing to Jokic. He lost to Jokic again. Oh, my God. He got cooked when he was with the Clippers. He lost to Jokic again. And in 2022, with the Suns, he lost to Doncic. Losing to Jokic, losing to Doncic. And he was soft against Jamal Murray. Landry Shamet was never a great defender. I mean, Jamal Murray is so much bigger than him that every time Jamal saw that Landry was on him, it was just cash money for number 27. Like, Murray knew he could back him down and just hit nothing but net. It was way too easy for Jamal Murray. I mean, Landry Shamet, he just cannot play defense. He's way too small. He's way, way, way too small. And he's just a poor man's version of Patty Mills. Shamet's way too small. And he's a below average NBA player to me. And Phoenix got to get rid of him, to be honest. He's got to get rid of him. DeAndre Ayton, they got to get rid of him too. CP3, bad luck. Is he the most unlucky all-time great point guard we've seen? Like, it looked like he was going to win the ring in 2021, but guess what happened? He blew a 2-0 series lead, blown the most 2-0 series leads all time. And now it seemed like last season, 64 wins. They were on verge of probably winning, contending for a title. They finished 8 games above every other team, and they got destroyed by Luka Doncic. And that meme, when he cut the deficit to 42, that meme was recreated today when Cameron Payne was celebrating him that shot. And CP3, now that he looked like he had a guy like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, 2 guys that can score 30 points on any given night, it seemed like the perfect match made in heaven for CP3, who could get a lot of easy opportunities and catch and shoot shots and getting wide open. But CP3 hurt his groin, and unfortunately, he got hurt, and he's just old. He's not going to have it every game. And the regression has been massive from 2021 until for this season, a 2 year window. CP looked like he was still like a top 10 player in the league 2 years ago at certain stretches. And now is Chris Paul going forward even a top 50 player in the league? He doesn't look like it so far, does not look like it. So it's just absolutely terrible for the Phoenix Suns. Absolutely terrible. They won one fewer game than last season. Last season, there was no excuse, man. No excuses. And now the Phoenix Suns, every playoff series when the other team was healthy, they have not beaten them. All the teams they've beaten in the Booker CP3 era, the Lakers, yeah, Anthony Davis got hurt for the latter part of that series. And the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard got hurt in that series. And the Nuggets, Murray got hurt, wasn't playing when they swept them. And the Milwaukee Bucks was pretty healthy. Giannis was banged up and they lost. New Orleans, no Zion. Of course, he's never healthy. And they barely beat them. And then when Doncic and Brunson, they're healthy, Dallas destroyed them. They destroyed them in 7 games. So the Phoenix Suns hasn't proven much in the playoffs, to be honest. A couple of injury breaks, that's how they made the finals. And this is not a good future for them. They savage all the role players for aging Kevin Durant, who's going to be 35, who's going to probably play like 50-something games and get hurt. He's going to get his buckets. They're probably still going to be like high 40s win team, and Devin Booker's probably gonna average close to 30 points. Devin Booker's about to hit his prime. He's been absolutely fantastic for most of these playoffs. So I'm not gonna blame him. He doesn't deserve much of the blame. He just played shitty the last 2 games because he was carrying this team so much on his shoulder. And Kevin Durant was playing second fiddle, and Kevin Durant didn't respond good enough. And Booker was carrying KD really the first 4 games, but KD couldn't really like do the favor for Book when Book was having an off night. So KD did not have his back. Matt Ishbia, he might want to think about selling the team. It's probably at a loss if he decides to sell it, but not looking good. He has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. It reminds me a lot of KD and Kyrie, just ISO style. And man, Chris Paul can't stay healthy. This was not the ending the Phoenix Suns was hoping for. DeAndre Ayton is terrible. He's done so. And yeah, Devin Booker is going to have some of those struggling nights. But when a guy like Kevin Durant's on his team and they still get destroyed by 30, there's just nothing they can do about it. They looked absolutely helpless today. Absolutely helpless. The Phoenix Suns trading for Kevin Durant has been just an absolute failure of a season. DeAndre Ayton makes me furious. I don't even want to think about DeAndre Ayton, how trash he's been. At the absolute disrespect to his team, DeAndre Ayton just simply doesn't even care. He doesn't care. I mean, Kevin Durant, like he really can't be that type of guy that, and a guy is struggling, unmotivated. Like, imagine you're just a pretty good NBA player if you tried, and then Kevin Durant's on your team, and you're like, oh, I don't care. I'm just not going to play as hard. He can't even motivate that. You know what would have happened if Michael Jordan went to another team and a role player like Ayton wasn't playing well? Ayton would have been out the Suns. He would have gotten kicked out of the team and sent home if they didn't trade him or whatnot. Like, this was never going to be allowed from someone like Michael Jordan. Even LeBron James, if he joined Phoenix, he would have traded DeAndre Ayton a long time ago if Ayton wasn't listening to him. Because that's the impact of those superstar figures that they have. If DeAndre Ayton played with a guy like Steph Curry and Draymond Green, Ayton probably would have balled out and cared because those guys are good leaders. Everyone wants to play with Steph Curry. Everybody has Steph Curry's back. That's what makes him so great, not just the talent of itself. Kevin Durant, guys not motivated to play for him. Ben Simmons was worse with the Nets than with the Sixers. Kevin Durant didn't have guys like him to play, and it's just a bad look being stuck in these situations with these unmotivated, spoiled number 1 picks who don't care about the game, and Durant couldn't inspire them. If Ben Simmons was on the same team as a guy like Kevin Garnett, KG would have slapped him so hard, then Simmons would have demanded a trade and cry, and he would have made DeAndre Ayton cry too. And those guys just don't care. Kevin Durant, absolutely disappointing, man. Disappointing. He's not a top 10 player all time, not even close anymore. He's lost some spots, to be honest. Don't ever compare him to a guy like Hakeem Olajuwon unless he's able to win a ring, but it doesn't seem like he is because they're not getting past Denver anytime soon. The Lakers look pretty good when AD's healthy. They're a problem in the West right now. I'm not even sure if this Phoenix team would have beaten Memphis. I'm not even sure if they would have beaten the Clippers. They would have lost to the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard was healthy. They would have lost. In game one, they got their asses kicked. If Kawhi and PG were both healthy, I honestly think the Clippers, with their aggression, they would have probably beaten the Phoenix Suns. Absolutely terrible by the Suns. Monty Williams, his coaching style is not working. The players ain't listening to him. Cameron Payne sucked for the first 5 games. He played good today. So he can celebrate on that. But it's just been terrible, man. Absolutely awful by the Suns and Kevin Durant. It's just really disappointing last 2 years. He can average 30 points he wants in the regular season. But after getting swept by Boston in the first round and getting heavily outplayed, Kevin Durant got outplayed in back-to-back series. And yes, he's older now, but he got outplayed by Tatum and Jokic. Kevin Durant, if he's really, truly an all-time great, like, nah. He's also had some terrible turnovers today with the passing. This team looked discombobulated, barely any chemistry, and it's hard to get traded to a team mid-season and just fit in while you get rid of all your role players. Like, look at what happened with the New York Knicks when Melo was traded there, and they got rid of pretty much half their rotation guys, and they lost in the first round to a better, more chemistry Boston Celtics team. And the Phoenix Suns, I think even with CP3 and Ayton healthy, they still would have lost to Jokic and Nuggets because they got way better chemistry, and that's just what it is. CP3's contract is disgusting. You want to look at DeAndre Ayton's contract? DeAndre Ayton's contract, he got paid $30.9 million this season, $32.4 in the next for 2025, $34 million, 2026, $35.5 million. Ouch. CP3, $31 million next season and $30 million in 2025. Kevin Durant, he's gonna play like 55 games, $47 million next season, 51 in 2025, 54 in 2026 when he's about, oh my God, 54 in 2026. 2026, he'll be like 37 years old. Whew, man. And the way how he gets hurt every regular season, like, no, it's not good. And it was shocking that the Suns did not trade DeAndre Ayton, and they paid for it too. They paid for it. He doesn't want it with that team. No chemistry. And it's just tough luck. So Kevin Durant, he's been on 3 different teams since 2019. Is he going to demand another trade? What's he going to cry about now? He just doesn't seem to ever be happy. Huh. Jokic fined 25K, so they won by 25. Jokic is the best player in the playoffs this season, without a doubt. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. So you guys watching me for the first time, appreciate your support. I'm going to go over some of the comments and see what's up, what you guys got in mind. Appreciate all the interactions. How about Jason Tatum tonight? He played like shit for the first 3 quarters, but JT bounced back in the 4th quarter, and he outscored Philly 16-13 and hit a couple threes to put that game away. And Doc Rivers, Game 7, Doc Rivers. Oh, shit. Doc Rivers, the king of 3-1 shivers, the king of Game 7 shivers. Crimea River. James Harden loves the strippers. It's late in New York, 1:20. Oh, there's some comments. Yeah, Tatum woke up. So Boston, Philadelphia. Game 7 is going to be interesting. James Harden absolutely balled out in game 1, and Joel Embiid balled out in Game 5. And Boston, surprisingly, they're not that good at home. They actually won more road games last playoffs than home games. So the Celtics with JT and JB struggles a lot at home, and they lost 2 games in the finals at home to Golden State. So It's gonna be tough. And they also lost 2 home games to Miami a season ago. They lost game 6 to Miami. So yeah, the Celtics don't do good at home, but I do think that it's gonna be super tough environment. And Al Horford, he played like shit the last couple of games. So I do think that Al Horford, with his uh, with his smarts and IQ, he's gonna make some impact. And Marcus Smart balled out tonight heavily. Jaylen Brown, he's been on and off. And James Harden, this is a legacy game for him on Sunday. James Harden's got to deliver and play well. I think it's going to be a super close game. And Philadelphia could win this, but PG Tucker's got to bring that energy and hold his guys accountable. But the Boston Celtics, they've been down 3-2, and on on the road, Jason Tatum absolutely looked like the biggest travesty for the first 3 quarters. But because he figured it out, I do think that gives JT a little bit of confidence. So if I had to pick who was going to win, I have to go with the Boston Celtics, to be honest, because Jason Tatum, I don't believe that he's going to struggle like he did in game 6. And Doc Rivers, when the pressure gets to him, I just don't know if he's going to be able to respond well. And James Harden, as good as he's been at certain stretches these playoffs, he hasn't really been consistent enough in a game 7. I just feel like because of the long series and because of the lack of breaks for someone who's like 30, 32, 33 years old, it's going to be much harder for James Harden to get into a rhythm. And that Boston Celtics crowd on the road, game 7 in Boston is never really easy, to be honest. And this is a really good Celtics team. So if I had to go with one, I'm taking the Celtics to win by a slight victory, like a 99-95 type win, grinded out series and whatnot. And Joel Embiid's gonna take a lot of shots and get a lot of guys in foul trouble. But I do think Boston just has more depth with like Malcolm Brogdon. He's been just okay, and Derek White. They just got more bodies to make an impact for a 7-game series like this, and it's gonna be a lot of jitters. I don't trust Tobias Harris at all, and Joel Embiid. If is he going to be trying to sell those foul calls? Because if he's going to try to do that, those game 7 referees, they know what you're trying to do. So I don't know if he's going to get those calls on the road in a game 7 like that. I think it's just going to be tough for the Sixers. I think the Lakers probably beat the Warriors tomorrow, depending Anthony Davis if he's healthy. Clay Thompson, an absolute travesty the last couple of games. Jordan Poole, an absolute travesty. Draymond balled out. It's going to be tough. I think game 6 is going to be really close between the Lakers Warriors. If Anthony Davis healthy and playing 35 minutes, if he scores over 20 points and plays great defense on Curry, I do think the Lakers gonna pull it out and win it. But game 6 Clay's been overrated. What's Clay Thompson done in game 6 against Sacramento? They got blown out. Yeah, Wiggins hurt in the ribs. AD is hurt too. If Wiggins got to play, though, there's no choice. He needs to play. I mean, we know he had a family emergency with his dad, and hopefully his pops, Mitchell Wiggins, is better and okay for health-wise. But Andrew Wiggins missed a bunch of times this season. He also owes the team a big game. He had a big game 5. But I'm probably going to go with the Lakers to win this because D'Angelo Russell played like shit last game. He plays good at Crypto.com Arena. D'Angelo Russell's always on and off. We haven't really seen that big of a game from Huriar Chimara lately. And some of those Lakers got a bunch of good role players that just shines at the right time at home with that crowd just rocking. And guys like Dennis Schroeder, the Lakers are deep. They're deep. They have what it takes to win it all. They got a loaded team. And LeBron doesn't really have to go off like that, too. The Lakers are super well balanced. Rob Pelinka, he's been absolutely phenomenal as a GM. LeBron taking over 25 shots. I mean, he's got to blow them out, though. If Golden State and LeBron's trading baskets, the last couple years with a LeBron-led team in the regular season, when he scores a lot, the Lakers usually lose. I mean, you want all the guys to get into a rhythm and play well, and LeBron's always going to have ways to make his impact felt. He's always going to get his shots whenever he feels like it. So it's important for the Lakers to get off to a good start because if Golden State's just firing out the cylinder and the Lakers don't want to play catch-up, but I do think it's going to be a really close game. I'm not going to count out Golden State entirely because they have what it takes to win it. And Steph and Clay, 2 sharp shooters, If they're hot, they win. If they're cold, they lose. I think it's as simple as that. But it's gonna be good. New York, Miami. I don't see New York winning, to be honest. Jalen Brunson had an incredible game five with 38 points. He played all 48 minutes. I mean, because RJ Barrett needs to play well. Julius Randle needs to play well too. And the Knicks have no other depth to really match up with Miami. Jimmy Butler, I don't think he's going to play as poorly as game five. Kevin Love played terrible in game five. That's why the Knicks barely won that one. I just think Miami has too much weapons and they're too balanced of a team, especially at home with Jimmy Butler still riding the high note. I don't see the Knicks winning on the road at South Beach. I just don't. They don't have a guy like Jimmy Butler to really keep the game competitive or anyone to go toe-to-toe with Jimmy Buckets. So if I had to take this one, even though I want the Knicks to beat Miami, it'd be dope if the Knicks can get to the conference finals. I got the Miami Heat winning that one in 6 games. I really do. I really do. I don't think Jimmy Butler's going to give New York any opportunities. And Randall's too much of a streaky guy. He's too much of a hit or miss. RJ Barrett's unpredictable. And Jalen Brunson's got to play almost as good as Jimmy. But Jimmy Butler's the best player of that series. And Eric Spoelstra, he's just a phenomenal coach. He's a way better coach to me than Thibodeau. If New York's not playing hard, Thibodeau, like, what else can he do with his guys? Like, Eric Spoelstra has made better adjustments. So as much as I want the Knicks to win, I don't see them beating Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Buckets he's just so good in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler is one of those guys, man. It's hard to rank a guy like Jimmy Butler. So he's not that great of a regular season player, but a phenomenal playoff guy. So would you rather have if James Harden was to lose in Game 7, but he had all the regular season awards, would you rather have a career like a James Harden, regular season king, scoring titles, but known as a playoff disappointment type guy, or a guy like a Jimmy Butler who's never going to come close to winning MVP or make first team, but a guy who's going to carry your team far as the number one? Whose career would you rather have? That's a serious question, honestly. Jimmy Butler or James Harden? I mean, Butler, he wins. He finds ways to win. There's not been an NBA superstar in today's NBA that I believe that reached their full entire potential than a guy like Jimmy Butler, a guy that just works hard. From his upbringings to crazy stories, Jimmy Butler wasn't that good as a rookie, but he worked his ass off, and now he's become one of the best playoff performers in this generation and a top 10 player in the NBA. He has that dog and firepower in him, and that's what makes Jimmy Butler so great. The way he carries Miami, because 2019, when announced that he wasn't going back to Philly and he was going to the Heat for 4 years, $164 million, everybody laughed at Jimmy Butler. They were thinking, why go to Miami? You have no chance there. What, you going to win 40-something games? But guess what? Jimmy Butler's a win away from the conference finals. He's already made it twice. Jimmy Butler, 2 conference finals in 3 seasons, maybe 3 conference finals in 4 years. The guy just knows how to win. He's just been unbelievable. And if you go to war with anybody, you want Jimmy Butler as one of the guys that's on your team, because he knows he's going to demand the best out of all his teammates. And he might not be the flashiest guy. He's not the most athletic guy, but he's certainly the hardest working guy. So for the 2011 draft, Jimmy Butler, I do think he's probably the second best player in that draft behind Kawhi Leonard. And Jimmy Butler, if he continues to dominate like this and play until his mid-30s at a super high level in the playoffs, there could be an argument that Jimmy Butler is easily the second best player in his draft class, better than Kyrie. Kyrie doesn't got that alpha dog, better than Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson can't even lead a team like that. Jimmy Butler currently is better than Kawhi, but all time, because Kawhi has those 2 titles. But if Jimmy Butler can lead his team to the finals, because I do think Miami, if they beat New York in 6 or 7, I think they could absolutely beat Boston or Philly the way they're playing. Jason Tatum's vulnerable. I mean, last year against Tatum and Brown, it was Jimmy Butler who was the best player in that series. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, unbelievable, unbelievable. I guess a lot of guys took him for granted in Minnesota, and Ben Simmons took him for granted. Buckets just had that mentality, and Tyler Hero possibly can come back too. It's just been crazy that Jimmy Butler can maximize his full potential like this and still contend for a championship as a number one option. I can never imagine how successful Jimmy Buckets has been. The last couple of years, he's been the best playoff player that's doesn't get any regular season awards or credits. But regular season, there's probably 30 guys better, but in the playoffs, you're not taking five guys over Jimmy Butler, honestly. I mean, if he can hold this title, he will be solidified as just a legend, a basketball legend, like a Dirk Nowitzki. He's gonna have his jersey retired. Yeah, and Jokic got snubbed for first team. That was absolutely terrible. That's a fucking disgrace. And you know what's a disgrace? Mark Jackson. What the hell's wrong with you, Mark Jackson? You left Jokic off your top 5 list for MVPs? What was he smoking? Mark Jackson. Get out, Mark Jackson. You should get your votes taken away. Absolutely disrespectful. Was it Kendrick Perkins' comments about Jokic that made him forget about Jokic? Are you kidding me? That's absolutely disgusting. Jokic, he clearly should have been at least number 3 for MVP at worst. He was at least 3 at worst. Between you could have him, Jokic, or Embiid. Well, MVP's over now, and Embiid earned it. But obviously, anyone who didn't have Jokic in their top 3 for MVP is just a knucklehead, and they're just an absolute hater. SGA, nowhere close to Jokic. Neither was Jason Tatum. And to be honest, I'm glad that the All-NBA team, they're not doing positions no more next season, because for decades, it's been 2 guards, 2 forwards, and 1 center. And you know what's messed up too in these positions? DeAndre Jordan in 2016 made first team All NBA, and Jokic having one of the best offensive seasons in 2023, second team All NBA. So DeAndre Jordan made first team as the worst center of all time to make first team All NBA, and Jokic made second team because he had Embiid. That's a problem with the NBA voting criteria for All NBA. That's just disgraceful. That's just terrible. I mean, it's not fair. DeAndre Jordan, under no circumstances, should have any first team All NBAs. It's disgusting. It really is. That's why in the 90s, don't knock Shaq, don't knock Hakeem or David Robinson for having not as many first team All NBAs, because those were some of the best players in the game, and one of them had to get kicked off to second team and even settle for third team. You know what's a travesty? Hakeem Olajuwon. He was clearly the best player in 95. He made third team All NBA. Because regular season, his Rockets won 47 games. David Robinson won 62. But Hakeem shit on him in the playoffs. Shaq, Orlando, 57 wins, was second team. Hakeem, third team. Think about it. The best player in the league made third team All NBA. And he dominated in the playoffs because the guys in his position was all really good on better regular season teams. That was just disgusting. That's why All NBA, it should always be the 5 best players, clear cut. And it would have been Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, probably Luka Doncic or some of those guys, or Jason Tatum. Tatum would have been the 4th option, and 5th is probably Luka, even though he had good numbers, but he didn't make the playoffs. But Jokic was second in MVP voting, and he made second team All NBA, and he's the best player so far in these playoffs. That's just a disgrace, man. Like, the NBA finally fixing this because Embiid was getting snubbed from first team when he was second for MVP, and now Jokic got snubbed. That's just terrible, man. Like, it just kind of sucks when the league is so center-oriented. Like, the 2 best regular season players are centers, and because there's only 1 center on the first team, there could literally be a guard, like an SGA and Luka, that didn't even make the playoffs. Imagine if Donovan Mitchell get first team All NBA, and the guy like Jokic is not. Jokic is 100 times better than Donovan Mitchell. That's just absolutely terrible. So I'm glad that the NBA can finally put an end to this and have the 5 best players make first team All NBA, right? Because remember when KD made second team and DeAndre Jordan made first team? That was just awful, man. That was just awful. So yeah, Nikola Jokic, incredible player, especially phenom. I don't think Jokic is a top 3 player. I think he's looking like number 1. He's looking like 1. The only guy you could put ahead of him really is Giannis. I don't see Joel Embiid in that level of Jokic yet because Jokic has been more consistent in the playoffs, and his game just works perfectly, and he's just an offensive genius. And I do think that Jokic not winning MVP doesn't have much pressure to make sure he wins it all now. Like, there was a strong case for him too, but he's just letting his game do all the talking, and he's in the prime of his career, it's looking like. He's just dominating. The Nuggets offense looking like the best in the league. I don't think the Lakers or Warriors can beat them, especially if AD is not 100%. They got big guys in Aaron Gordon who did a pretty solid job on KD. He's going to be guarding LeBron. And then AD, he's going to get mauled by Nikola Jokic. Jokic might be a lot slower, but AD's got to have his work cut out for him. And then you have guys like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., 6'10", that can shoot threes. So the Denver Nuggets, they got championship pedigree, and this is Jokic's chance. I do think Denver could beat both Boston and Miami. I think they'll beat Miami, but Boston's going to be tough. They're going to be tough. I do think Jokic is too big and strong for Bam Adebayo, and Jamal Murray, he's going to bring it in the playoffs. And I just don't think Miami, as great as Jimmy Butler is, has enough. Boston definitely has enough. They could throw Al Horford, who's got the IQ and awareness, and Robert Williams, 2 big bodies on Jokic. They got a chance, but Jason Tatum and JB's got to ball out. It's looking like if the Sixers would have won today, I was thinking about a Sixers-Nuggets final series, but so far, it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. I do think whoever wins Game 7, Boston or Philadelphia, probably going to make the finals, even though I'm not going to count out Miami. I don't see the Knicks getting it done. But right now, if I got to pick, the Denver Nuggets look like the best team. You see what Jokic did today? Jokic was unbelievable. And they almost swept Minnesota. I mean, Game 3, they were down 12 with 3 minutes left. And Michael Porter, he hit like 3 straight threes. And that game went to overtime. And Denver almost swept Minnesota, so they could come from behind and whatnot. And Minnesota's not a trash team. They got Karl-Anthony Towns immaturity issues, but Minnesota with Towns, Gobert, Edwards, and Conley, that team's loaded on paper, man. And Denver dismantled them in 5 games, and they almost swept them. And they beat the Phoenix Suns team in 6 games. And they won all those games when one of the Durant Booker guys didn't play well, and when both Book and KD played well, they were still in those contests in 3 and 4. I mean, it was hard for Phoenix to beat them. It really was. And so that's why I have the Denver Nuggets winning the championship. That's my pick right now. That's what it's looking like. After a week, who knows what's going to happen, but thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to get some rest and enjoy my week and wake up early in the morning for work. So I'm going to be watching Golden State LA tomorrow and the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, Game 6, South Beach, and in Los Angeles. We'll see what happens in those games. Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton, absolutely pathetic. Kevin Durant, a disaster of a season ending. CP3, Father Time doesn't seem to be on his side. Monty Williams, who knows what. Devin Booker, he played well, so overall in the series, not going to criticize him much. So I appreciate all of you for tuning into my channel and watching my thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. More NBA talks in the coming future. I'll be probably live streaming after every finals game about my reactions to the NBA finals and this summer, come free agency time and trade rumors and the NBA draft and whatnot. So Wilson Tsai here from New York, tuning out, and wish all of you have a very great night.